Hey everyone, Jesse here from the Subi Sanctuary. First and foremost, yes, this is a legitimate 22B in the shop. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you would like to stay tuned for the series on this car and the stuff we have to do to it. In this first video, what we are going to do is we are going to highlight some of the things we have to do to it. We're going to go through the car front to back, inside out, and underneath, and kind of give you guys an idea of what we're working with to start. Well, without further delay, let's start right at the front of the car. Some of you may have already picked it out, and that is our hood here. So on the car, currently we have the incorrect hood. This is a carbon fiber hood with some WRC vents. The difference in these vents is they're significantly larger than the original 22B vents. As well as this being an aftermarket carbon fiber hood, the fit is not 100%. You can see here at some point the hood had a hood pin set up there that's been kind of poorly filled in. So you can see the impressions. Then moving on from the hood, we are going to get into the engine bay. Now under the hood, we have the infamous EJ22G. That is one of many parts that make the 22B special, whereas all other STIs and WRXs up till that point had come with a 2-liter engine. Again, now under the hood, you will notice there is a few pieces that are not quite correct. Now, starting off with the first one, we have a Zero Sports cold air intake. This is a really cool piece. Zero Sports in general is really cool stuff. Big nostalgia factor, cool JDM culture factor. It also has this, which is pretty unique, which is a real carbon fiber air duct for the filter. However, this is not the right equipment for the car, so we're going to be replacing it with the original air box and filter. Then we have the standard STI carbon fiber strut bar there. Those were on most of all the early STIs. Then a cool little piece, we have the STI embossed intercooler coupler. This is a really tidy engine. This car has about 70,000 kilometers on it. Something very cool and iconic for the 22Bs is the red timing cover. And again, another Japanese STI feature is the power steering cooler in front of the rad there. Another out-of-place piece there is the aluminum crank pulley. You actually can perfectly see, I don't know if you guys can see, but the Zero Sports logo on that. Always neat for the fanboy factor of it. Then you can see there the hood is well sporting a Zero Sports intercooler shroud. Underneath, this is a pretty nice hood. It's got some really big deflectors to stop the rain from falling on your intake as well as your battery. However, this not being the OEM hood, we are going to replace it with an OEM hood along with the vents. Now moving on from the engine bay, then from there we're going to go ahead and move into the interior of the car. So off the bat you can see the blue Alcantara throughout, the stainless door sills, and then the exclusive 22B seats in the black fabric and blue Alcantara. This theme does carry throughout the rest of the interior of the car. From there, we're moving on to another incorrect piece, which is our carbon fiber interior trim. This is not real carbon fiber. This is actually a hydro dip. So these are somewhat sought after as well, but is just not the look we're going for in the car. There's our number plate at 61 of 400. Then into our gauge cluster here, we have a 9K TAC, 180K Speedo. And what makes this really unique, because it only would have been in the Type Rs and the 22Bs, is the DCCD gauge on the left there. Then we have another piece here, and not limited to, is the white-faced center diff control button. Then from there we have the Momo steering wheel, another incorrect part for the car. However, we were able to obtain the factory red stitch STI Nardi wheel straight from the factory, which is really cool. And from there we have a period correct Kenwood tape player with Japanese writing, and it actually does say Subaru on it as well. And with another obvious and incorrect part is this shift knob with looks like a small 3-inch extension on it. So we do have a brand new red stitched Nardi knob to replace this with. And then over here, nothing specific, but the factory JDM road flare. And from that, we have some damage in the carpet, and this is throughout many holes in this carpet from a previous bolt-in roll cage. So we're going to replace all the carpet. Then here we have the jumbo armrest console. Everybody loves these. They come from the later Foresters. However, this is the incorrect piece, so we will be replacing this. Then another pretty unusual part out of place is the door activated LED lights. They are on both the left and right doors. They're pretty neat, but however, they are incorrect, so we're going to remove those and hopefully we can get off all the goop behind them. Now back on the driver's side here, we have the AP button. If anyone knows what this does, drop a comment below. I do know, but I'm curious to see if you guys know. Then we have the water spray auto button and the water spray manual. Now down to our pretty boring rubber pedals and our obscurely placed WRC dead pedal. Those are again another slew of incorrect parts that we'll have to rectify. Then on the back window here, we have the STI quick ratio steering. Quick ratio steering was standard in all the STIs. Then another unique JDM piece here, which has been deleted, which we are going to have to replace, is the rear window wiper. These came on most all the Subarus, except for the Type RAs to try and conserve some weight. Then moving back from that, we have the spoiler. It looks great, however, it is incorrect. This is a S6 WRC style spoiler. So again, we were able to obtain an OEM 22B spoiler, which is quite a feat in itself. Then another thing not a lot of people would notice is the red and amber taillights, which are actually incorrect for the car. The very early JDM Imprezas did come with red and amber. However, this being in 1998 would have come with the red and white taillights. So we were able to obtain those as well. They are still available from the dealer. Then here we have the all too special 22B STI badge on the trunk. Then a little peek through the trunk there. It does look good. There is the 10-disc CD player that accompanies the Kenwood deck inside. And then down to our factory STI catback exhaust. This is the standard exhaust for all the later STIs, so there's nothing too special about it. It is a nice tidy unit. From there, we're now going to put the car up to about face height, and then we can go through the front wheel well and the rear wheel well to show you a couple more of the details on the car. So now we got the car up a bit, and first thing you'll notice, if you didn't already notice it, is it has the incorrect wheels for a 22B. These are really popular among the WRC cars. These are the Speedline Course. However, we are going to be removing those and putting the original wheels back on. Beyond that, we have the iconic Subaru 4-pot caliper. This was standard on all the facelift STIs, as well as obviously the 22B. Beyond that, another cool feature that we can't exactly see from here is the silver Bilsteins that would have come on the 22Bs. And then last but not least, can anyone point out the next missing item within this area? If you guessed the titanium STI badge on the fender, then you are correct. We were able to obtain those as well. Carrying on now into the rear wheel, you can see in there we do have the Subaru 2-pot. This was not standard on all the STIs, but it was standard on the 22B. Again, you can see our beautiful Speedline wheels here. And other than the wheel being out of place, back here is pretty well standard. And then back in the front, of the rear bumper, you can see because this car was basically adapted from the Type R's to fill in the gap between the widened body and the vehicle's apron, they actually added in some rivets and then a piece of plastic to bridge the gap between the bumper and the wheel well there. So I thought that was pretty interesting and worth pointing out. Well, I know what you guys are thinking. This car is rather filthy, and yes, it was driven here from where it came from. It was raining, and I did actually want to go over the car in its current state so you guys can kind of see the evolution as it changes throughout the series of videos. So hopefully you guys can appreciate that and understand it as well. Now moving on to the underside of the car here, it is quite a tidy car underneath. It looks like it has had some waxing at some point. I did want to point out the bumper brackets. So these are something that would be factory, but to facilitate for the lower hanging 22B bumper. Then correct me if I'm wrong here, but it does appear to have solid rear subframe bushings. This was standard on at least the version 7 and onward STIs. Not 100% sure on these, but it does look to be solid. Then our tubular rear control arms, again, another standard STI component. Then in there we have some hidden stainless flex lines. I do not believe those to be original. Moving a little further under the car, you can still see we have some of the factory markings, and any of the zinced components are showing quite well for the age of this car, as well as some of the original coated chassis components. And then you can see there our inner rocker, and it is looking fantastic for a 1998. This is quite a sight to see coming from someone who lives in the Rust Belt and deals with a lot of older Subarus. This is something I can really appreciate, is a car that still has a complete floor and rockers. Now again, some of you guys may have already picked out some of the things that are not quite right with the underside of the car, and that is one of them right there. This would be the base plate for the bolt-in roll cage. There is 6 of these throughout the bottom of the car. There is 4 on the floor and 1 in each of the rear shock towers. So that is part of our objective list, to remove and restore the floor back to original in those spots where the holes were drilled. Then up in the transmission tunnel there, you can see we have a brand new shifter U-joint. The car being almost 30 years old, this is definitely a component that is going to improve the shift feel. Then a little overview here of the stock downpipe and the stock catback. All of it is faring pretty well for the age. And up into the STI aluminum control arms. All of the STIs actually did come with the aluminum control arms as well as the RAs. The control arms are standard width on these. It was actually the wider 22B wheels that accommodated for the larger width in the body. Then, as I had mentioned earlier, the car has been waxed at some point. So underneath of this wax, you can see the original silver Bilsteins that would have come with this. They are labeled Pro Drive and STI, which is again really cool and very unique. And then on the control arms there, you can also see the wax very prevalent against the aluminum there. This makes this car a really good candidate for a dry ice blast underneath, because I feel like it's unlikely it will purposely be driven in the rain, let alone the snow at this point. Now moving along up under the engine of the car, some of you guys may have already noticed this, and it is this. So it is a 4 to 2 to 1 header. It looks like it's made by Maxim, and it is a really unique piece. I've never seen anything quite like this, nor this brand, but I'll show you here in a sec what it's all about. So there we go, Maxim Works. It's got a really nice brace. It is like really well made. This definitely is a quality piece. Pretty cool for sure. So we have the 2 runners from one bank, the 2 runners from the other bank there, and you would normally see them go into a singular collector up to the turbo. However, on this particular set, they actually then go into 2 runners almost all the way up to the turbo, and then they go into 1 singular collector up into the turbo. Then here we have a quick shot. If you can make it out from the other side of the car, you can see the two runners going up and into the singular collector. Right above that is the turbo flange. Really neat little piece. There we are, up and running, and she does run beautifully. Overall, this car does show really well, and it certainly looks fantastic as it sits, but I hope you guys will follow along as we take it up a couple notches from here. Well, now that we've gone around the car with what we're starting with on this project, I will mention, after many months of searching and waiting, we have found every single OEM piece that we are missing on the car. I'd like to give a big shout out to Ali Burrows Motorsport for helping the client source all the missing pieces. So I'm really excited to get into this series. We got a couple cool videos aside from just doing the work that we have to do on it. And with that being said, guys, happy Subaruing until the next one.